We begin with the breaking news from Edmonton, a city in mourning after the death of 2 of its police officers. They were shot and killed as they responded to a call overnight, and we just learned the identities last hour when police briefed the public about the incident. Let's turn now to our Julia Wong, who is on the scene for us. Julia, walk us through what we learned from that press conference.
Well, Hannah, we learned that these 2 police officers were shot and killed while responding to a family dispute, and the police chief said that they did not have any time to fire their guns. Now, they were called to this northwest Edmonton neighborhood just after midnight, and as they entered the suite, they were shot by a male suspect. That male suspect then died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. We also heard from the chief that a woman related to this male suspect was taken to hospital with life-threatening injuries, and he stressed during this press conference that there is no risk to the public. Take a listen.
Today, the Edmonton Police Service has been marked by an unthinkable and a horrific tragedy as 2 of our members have died in the line of duty. Constable Travis Jordan, age 35, had 8.5 years with the Edmonton Police Service, and Constable Brett Ryan, age 30, had 5.5 years with the Edmonton Police Service.
Now, there are still a lot of unknowns as of right now. We don't know how old this suspect is, why he fired those shots at the police officer, and what exactly that relationship is between himself and that woman who was taken to hospital. It also isn't clear how she was injured. But what I can tell you is that this is a very active scene. This is a residential neighborhood, as I mentioned, in the northwest part of Edmonton. You can probably see and hear behind me that police still very much on the scene. There's a forensic unit vehicle. We're in front of the command post vehicles right now. We've seen several officers here for the many hours that we've been here.
Chance to speak with people on the scene. Tell us what they're telling you.
Yeah, so they're shaken. They're processing something like this happening so close to where they live. You know, the last time something like this happened in Edmonton was 2015. That's the last time an Edmonton police officer was killed in the line of duty. So many people still trying to come to grips with what has happened in the early hours here. Take a listen.
Yeah, I'm so thankful for them putting their lives at risk, leaving their families every day just to serve and protect all of us.
Now, we also heard from the mayor just a little bit earlier that this is a difficult and sad day. He says the city will be providing its support to the Edmonton Police Service. We also got a statement from Alberta Premier Danielle Smith, who says that the province is mourning these 2 officers who were killed, and she's extending sympathies to the family and friends of Constable Travis Jordan and Constable Brett Ryan. So as you can imagine, many things that we're still trying to piece together. But what we do know, 2 officers shot and killed just after midnight in this residential neighborhood. The police chief stressing, asking for patience as they compile more details, saying that this is still a very active investigation.
And Julia, as you mentioned, this happened in the early morning hours. The police chief saying 12:47 a.m. And maybe you could just tell us what's happening behind you at the scene on the ground at this point in time.
So I can tell you, while we've been here, we've seen officers going around chatting with people. We were able to get sort of behind this building area where we are. We know that this is a large complex, many buildings, hundreds of units from what we're told by the property manager. And our cameras did capture officers inside one particular ground level unit. It isn't clear exactly what they were doing, but they were taking a very close inspection into what was in that unit. So from what we can see on the ground here, this does appear to be a very large scene, that yellow tape cordoning off a very large area behind us. So we're still trying to piece together exactly how big this scene was and exactly what transpired.
And Julia, one of the things that the chief of police said as well is that this was an ambush. They didn't even have a chance to use their weapons. And maybe tell us what happened at the scene there when they went into the building, and then they did die. They were pronounced dead when they reached the hospital.
Yeah, so the details that we heard from the chief, they got this call, they responded, he said around 12:47 early in the morning, as they entered that unit, and it isn't exactly clear why that male suspect then shot them, if there were any conversations that may have taken place between that suspect and the two officers. But as you mentioned, had no opportunity for these officers to get a chance to fire their guns to defend themselves. So it seems like what happened was really quick. There wasn't much opportunity, it seemed, for these officers to figure out exactly what was going on, the level of risk they were walking into. And you can bet that's something that officers will be taking a very close look at.
Absolutely. Julia Wong, thank you so much for your reporting on the ground from Edmonton.